What's going on?
Hey, what's happening?
Well, I'm having a better day than I was yesterday.
So, are we on the MacBook?
Uh, I guess. I mean, for now. This is not mine, so it can't be permanent.
That's not what I meant, but yeah.
Well, then what did you mean?
I just meant, are you using the MacBook today?
Oh, you were literally. You know the answer to that.
I understand I know the answer to that, but I was asking that a question for everybody else so that they kind of knew that you swapped up and we're
Well, I'm
making
here, so they know I have something, and that's all that
that's
matters.
exactly it. Making conversation.
That's that's poor conversation.
I mean, the other conversation can be that that our
Hey,
table.
oh, okay. I got one for you to counter yours. Your internet working?
It is now.
See, nobody else knows that, but I said it like they already knew. What's
Well,
up,
they
everybody?
might already know after the last couple 8 o'clocks. So
Mickey,
and
welcome back. Ben, Shelby's in the chat. I don't know how in the chat she will be. She is at work. What's up, Mary Beth? What's up, Snowman?
Mr. Cole Johnson in the
Everybody else in
house.
here. Mickey, I'm glad to see you chatting in here, man. We were all asking about you last night. You can blame Puppet for his mishaps with the his apparently his thumb slipped and hit the wrong button, which I believe him. He's not all evil all the time, but Mary Beth, so glad to see you, Alex. Yes, everybody in the chat say thank you to Shelby. Our It's in the Blood's very own lending me a hand until I can figure out something figure out anything. And so this is what I got for now, and but I am very, very thankful.
Before I got timed out again.
You got timed out more than once? Because I saw Puppet, and he was like, oh crap, like I'm sorry, but I didn't see anybody else time you out. It was only like a 300-second, so like what, 5 minutes?
Yeah.
What's up, Sam? I know, Snowman. I'll get it figured out. It's just it was literally 5 minutes before that game started last night when this everything just went down, and I was like, it was just very bad timing. That's really what it was. I probably could have made up for it. But I wasn't thinking straight because it was at such an inconvenient time. But we'll get it. We'll back on. Nothing's gonna hold us back. We'll make do.
Always be here. Yeah. And hopefully the issue from last night is fixed via our Spectrum lady today because she said that our modem was configured incorrectly. So hopefully that frees us from this 8 o'clock nightmare.
I was doing a game at Kemper Arena in 2002 and my microphone broke apart before I had to go on air. See that you know exactly how what that panic feeling is like, so you definitely get it. After crying for 4 hours last night, I got over. I'm sorry, Mickey. It wasn't us.
King for a day, Mickey.
If Puppet shows up in here, you can tell him all about it and he will take it. I will make sure he's not mean about it. He did apologize, so. But we did not do very well this week, not at all. Hey, speak of the devil, there he is right there. We did not do very good this week. I mean, you did better than I did, but that is every single week.
Really? I
But
thought we were
not
even.
by much. And some of the things that I said, but it's not one of those things you can predict. It was like a wishful thinking kind of thing that happened. So I'm not going to be like, I said, I know I was speaking because I wanted it to happen. But I went 6-8 this week, and you went 8-6, and I feel like it should have been 7-7 for me because I was really confident in the Packers. I even switched on CBS, like while we were sitting in here streaming. I went and put it, and I told you before the stream started when we made our picks last week. I said every single one of my picks on paper in this chat is exactly the same, and as it is in CBS, except for one, and that was the Packers game. So I was confident in that, but I just didn't have the guts to say it on here. So really, I should be 7-7, but I'm trying to stop being so over the top bold, I guess, and tame it down. But listen, we have every reason to believe that there's no reason to tame anything down because now, with the Eagles losing last night, thank you, Washington, anybody can lose a game. So, with going forward, I'm just going with my gut. If that means I only get two right in a week, that means I only get two right in a week. I'm going with my gut. I'm not going with what's right. So, you know, we're going to stick with that. But week 10 was pretty much the definition of chaos. The top got shifted and the bottom got a little bit better. Not all of the bottom, of course, but it was just. It was a week of chaos. I mean, truly, from the start to finish.
I
But
think that's
let's go ahead and kick off our recap. The first game of the week. It feels like it was so long ago. Thursday night football. Falcons at Panthers. We both got this one wrong. It was an ugly game in like a hurricane, and so it was a mess. But the Panthers looked honestly pretty good.
well, let's just rewind. How about we go back to the beginning of last season and how much we like their defense? They do have a competent defense. Atlanta has only a sparingly good offense, and they have to be able to run the ball. Carolina got the lead. Atlanta can't throw to catch up. So there you go. I mean, that's where it really boils down to. Carolina looks like they got a little life in them. I think it's sparked from the defensive side of the ball, and we'll take it as they're going to win a few games.
I mean, listen, I don't know what happened to their defense at the beginning of the season. Can we put the blame on Matt Rule? Yeah, sure we can, because their defense was not all that bad last year. The only problem they had was they didn't have an offense at all last year. So their defense just spent too much time on the field. That's why they didn't look as good as we knew that they were. And so coming into this season, we were like, okay, well, they got new pieces, they got better in certain aspects, and they just added to the defense that we already thought was good. And so like that kind of went with it, but they had no offense. Their offense was so bad. They started off with Baker, then Sam Darnold was on IR. They went to PJ, started looking better, but now they're going PJ's injured, so they're going back to Baker. So this QB shift, which has been their problem for years, but so if they can find a little bit ways to keep going forward in growth in this offense, their defense is going to continue to perform. I think it was J.C. Horn this week got his first career interception, or maybe second career interception. These kind of things are just going to start growing with this team. Look, they're in rebuild mode, so they're gonna be bad, but they're gonna keep looking better until they get it figured out right. I am using my camera, and I cannot figure out why it is so dark. Um,
I think it's the TV. The TV's not on. Usually the TV kind of lights you up.
no, I always have the TV off when there's not a game on.
Oh,
It's a completely new computer and system and setup, and the camera's lower than it normally is. So, I don't know. I can't do anything about it. I'm just happy to be here.
heck yeah.
But yeah, so the Falcons, when we went into making these picks, the one problem I had with this team is I think they're a good football team. I think that they play hard and they're better than a lot of teams, but they have no offensive identity. And they're going to continue to struggle until they have a real game plan every single week. And they just don't. Like, they're going to have the ability to put up 40 or put up 3 every single game. And it just depends on which team shows up. Mariota didn't look all that great. Their run game wasn't bad, but the Panthers defense was ready for it. And the big issue I have, and this goes along with them not having an identity, is Cordell Patterson's back, but they kept handing it off to the second or third down guys, or your RB2, RB3, RB4, because there's a bunch of them there. Those guys were getting the majority of the reps. When you have a complete and total star, all you could ask for in one package in Cordell Patterson, and he got the least amount of reps out of all the guys, and so that is, new-ish coaching. He's been there a little while. He's getting into it, but all in all, they just have zero identity, and that's what's going to lose them games. Do they play tough? Do they fight to the end? Yes. All of the things. There's all kinds of good surrounding Atlanta. They just don't have them all put together. So, one day you're going to get this, and one day you're going to get this, and then one day you're going to get a total collapse because no one's going on. No one knows what's going on. And the weather was effective in this game, but Carolina, they play there all the time, so they're used to that. Ugly game, good win for the Panthers. They're one of those
Do
teams that are going to be playing, the wrecking ball on teams that need wins.
I'll leave you with one thing before we move on. Do you think before the end of the season this year that we will see some Desmond Ritter just to test him out a little bit once they realize they're out of the playoff hunt?
I think, okay, so we're getting into week 11 of 18. If they are out of the playoffs by week 14 or 15, then maybe they'll give them half a game or, something. But with that division being so bad, all it's going to take is one slip up from one team and they're right there in it. I mean, the Saints could somehow come back and win that division. It's just such a mess right now. Because it's so tight knit, I think they're going to ride with Mariota until they're officially eliminated. Maybe like week 18, he'll get a whole game to himself if they're not in it.
I'd love to see what Desmond Ritter can do because his knowledge of pro style offense is
Oh,
there already.
man, I like my thing with him, and it came more so watching him in preseason than it did actually in college football. Because I did watch quite a few of his games, and he was great in college. Is he has just got the perfect form, like his feet, his throwing motion, like all of it is like it's almost like textbook, but with his own flair. Like it's perfect to a T, and I absolutely love that about him.
Yeah.
And he made a couple throws in preseason. I was just like, oh my god, this kid's gonna be a star if he can adjust to the speed of the NFL. Like he will be a star. And
Happy
you don't
Tuesday.
really say that a lot out about smaller college schools, like football schools.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, that guy's going to be like what we anticipate, maybe like Davis Mills or someone like that to be a second string QB. But when he gets his shot, he will be a star if he can adjust to the speed of the game.
Oh, I'm sure it'll happen.
But I don't want to spend any more time on this game because it was probably my least favorite game of the whole week. But the first game we have on Sunday was our first Germany game, Seahawks at Buccaneers. Tampa Bay did get the win, kind of cooled off the Seahawks a little bit. You know what? This is my biggest concern about this whole thing. I'm not mad that Tampa's doing well. I actually am enjoying divorced Tom Brady a lot more than I've enjoyed Tom Brady the last 23 years. Okay, like his life's a mess. He's trying to get it together, and he's actually having fun playing football. Like we haven't seen him having fun playing football in at least 3 years. Maybe his first year in Tampa, he was just out there doing whatever on a great football team. Like they were a fantastic football team. But like it's hard to hate a guy that like everything is turned against him at this point. His back's pretty much against the wall and he's like, "You know what? I'm still having fun." And like there is where my respect is going to be handed to him. But what I was getting on about is my biggest thing about this that makes me so mad is the lack of Leonard Fournette this season because I know he is a star. I know it. And I know that their offensive line isn't as good as it has been in the past, but great football players can somehow work around that. And then onto that, I gave him one more week in fantasy. Like I was like, I'm gonna start him this week. It's real bad when your RB1 throws an interception. Your running back throws an interception.
Heck
I was
yeah.
screaming at work that morning. I was so mad. I was like, any other guy could have thrown that interception and I wouldn't have been mad, but I was so mad. But I don't know what's going on with Leonard Fournette. That Rashad White, I believe is his name, that's backup to him. He's looking really good. He is probably going to be a big shift in this Tampa Bay offense. The defense is not great, but it's better than it had looked over the last couple weeks. I think they're getting a little healthier. But all in all, Seahawks, I think they needed a humbling because they were just like thinking no one could ever beat them. Like, I think this loss will make them better. But so I consider this a good loss for Seattle. And I think I consider this a good win for Tampa Bay as well.
Yeah, I mean, we both kind of expected Tampa Bay to win this game, mainly on a hunch, not based on past performance. And I thought that that was kind of telling of what that maybe we really thought that Seattle just got hot and maybe aren't as good as what we think they are.
I still think they are good. Look at their coach. That's a Hall of Fame head coach. Look at that rookie running back they got. He's gonna have a fan. Okay, so I connected to my phone's hotspot. I don't know what's going on. Dad's been having internet issues all day. Working on it. But I am here uh whenever his internet gets back on, I will try to connect to it. No, none of you guys did anything. This he didn't believe me that there's been internet issues later at night and he's been experiencing them and now it's worse. So I don't know what's going on. He called and talked to the internet lady today and she said she fixed it, but I don't know. Shelby just sent me a screenshot of our frozen faces. I mean, I did do it. Okay, well maybe Dave did it, but the rest of you guys did not do it. It wasn't me, Pizzle. No, none of your guys' fault. Nobody's cursed. He said, "Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs." The internet lady is a liar. Why you guys never do the NFL recap side by side? What does that mean? I mean, not what does that mean? What do you mean? Sorry. I was gonna say, I feel like, are you talking about because it's only one of us here? Because I feel like we always here for the recap. I am cursed. You know this. Oh, phone's on mobile.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's fixed. Well, what she told me was that if it did it again, there would have to be a technician come out because it's on somewhere on our end.
Oh, I just connected to my phone's hotspot.
Oh, I just connected through my phone.
They said that you're in timeout.
I'm in timeout. How'd I get put in timeout? What did I do wrong?
I don't know. They said that the internet lady was a liar.
She did sound just like Rosie Perez.
Like sitting next to each other instead of different rooms would be easier. Well, I mean, we've always done it this way. And if we sit next to each other, I can hit him. And
that's not a good idea.
So I don't want to hit him.
Okay, well, good win for the Bucks.
Shelby said everything was fine until you went to the store and upgraded the other day.
I mean, I bought the higher speed internet. I thought that would make everybody happy. course, I'm wrong.
But yes, good win for the Bucks. Bad or good loss for the Seahawks. It was a humbling loss. We'll talk about more of those kind of losses later today. The next game I got on our slate was game of the week. Probably will be one of the best games on the season. What are you doing?
Leaving.
Leaving. There we go.
Oh.
What are you doing?
I had two microphones going. It was getting ready to get loud.
Well, I took one of them off the stream, so it wouldn't have.
Okay.
But anyway, next game on the slate, it was definitely game of the week. If not, it might be in the top for game of the season. The Minnesota Vikings head to Buffalo, take on the Bills, and snake away with a win. Justin Jefferson with the catch of the year. And listen, I don't mean to be that guy, but I don't want to hear anybody say that Josh Allen is better than Patrick Mahomes ever again.
I mean, that point is there's no real good way to compare the two, honestly. However,
I mean, Josh Allen's leading the leagues in interceptions, and Patrick Mahomes leading leagues in yard and touchdowns.
I mean, lifetime numbers I think Mahomes is gonna outplay him probably his whole career. But you know what? Everybody just wants to jump on that bandwagon because it's a good bandwagon to jump on. But guess what? Buffalo's at home. They're playing a team that has found a way to win every single week almost, and just managed to come in there and get it done. Josh Allen fumbles. I mean, there's no way that Buffalo really should have lost this game if you want to be honest.
I almost don't consider that a Josh Allen fumble. It looks like a butt fumble off the center.
Yeah, but there again, I mean, who really calls I mean, why would you? The call was going to be a quarterback sneak, so that's kind of a rough call to put right there, especially with a guy with a hurt elbow.
I mean, I don't know why you don't just let your running back take the direct snap or a fullback. That's what they're for, man.
We talk about this all the time.
A tight end, even let a tight end stand right under there and take the snap.
These guys risking their quarterbacks, and you know what? And they said that in the game. You put Josh Allen in this game, he's going to play all out. But he got beat. I was so impressed. You know what? You got to think that trade that Minnesota made, sending Diggs to Buffalo, is probably the one trade that I can remember in the past that has just immensely benefited both teams. Justin Jefferson come out of that trade, and Buffalo got the receiver that they needed to be very competitive. I very, very few times do you see a trade where both teams just end up really good out of the deal.
Yeah, they traded Diggs away to get his replacement. I mean, and it worked out for both teams. Look, Josh Allen's career started blossoming when Stephon Diggs got there.
Yeah, but you know what? Buffalo 6-3. That's not where they thought they would be at this point in time.
Third in their division now. The Jets won, and they were on a bye week.
Yeah, I mean, so everything in that AFC is getting snug except for the AFC West.
Everything's getting crazy, and I love it. I am here for it, and the only reason I'm as excited as I am is because my team has a multiple game lead within my division. So I get to just enjoy the chaos and hope that nothing bad happens to them. Diggs and Jefferson are dogs, but right now, if you ask me honestly who was the better wide receiver, I'd have to say Jefferson.
At least
I'm not discrediting Diggs, not 1 minute. He was great in Minnesota. He's great in Buffalo.
They were both great in this game. They both made catches that should not have been made.
Justin Jefferson made the most insane catch. The defender caught the ball. He was fully extended. It looked very similar to the OBJ catch, but it was more impressive than that catch.
Yeah, there was several very awesome catches in that game. I was so glad to be able to, to sit here and watch that when I turned on for everybody because that game went into overtime. And then, man, it was so much fun to watch and hang out in here. We had a blast.
Listen, I don't understand this Minnesota team. And look, every game they've played this year that they've won, which is all of them but one, have been 1 o'clock games. Next week they got a 4:25 game, so we'll see if it's just like they got that 1 o'clock mojo, or if they can, go out and win on at different times in the day, I guess. But yeah, Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the league, and right now nobody can change my mind. But yeah, that game was fantastic. Shout out to the Vikings because the Chiefs reclaimed the number 1 seed with the Buffalo loss, and that makes me feel good. So if Buffalo can lose at least one more game this year and the Chiefs not do that, then I'll be happy. Like I said, I don't care if we have the number 1 seed. I just care that we are a higher seed than Buffalo, because it will be very hectic if we have to play Buffalo in Buffalo during the playoffs. I would rather play in Kansas City. But next game we got on the slate, another NFC North team. Well, 2 of them really. The Lions and Bears game came down to the wire. The Lions snuck away with a 1-point win. We talked about this. We took the Bears, and I just kept it saying all week, I feel like the Lions are going to win that game. I don't know how. I don't know why. It won't make sense, but I feel like they will. And you know what? It didn't make sense, but they did.
Yeah, the one play in that game where Justin Fields made a bad decision was that pick six, and that's the difference in the game.
It's just, Justin Fields still producing. The Bears still put up 30 points. The Lions just put up 31. And we know that's a high-powered offense. I thought they would regress a little bit without Hawkinson, but they still put up 31 points, man. They're a bad team, but they can score points. That's all you can say about them.
Yeah, it's fun to watch both those teams right now because they're both really growing. And I think they're both aiming towards being competitive next year. Really competitive.
Right now, the Bears are aiming to be competitive now. They're playing every single week since the Patriots game. They have played winning football, and they haven't won but maybe one of those games, if any of them.
They haven't. Oh, they broke an NFL record. The only NFL team in history to lose 4 straight games scoring 30 or more points. I heard the stat.
That's what I'm saying. They are playing winning football. They're playing great football. They're just not winning. It don't make sense. Just like the Lions, they'll put up 40 points in a game, and it won't make sense because they're not going to win. Those 2 teams are the biggest mysteries, seriously.
But growth in those games, man, it's just those teams are kind of fun to watch. I hope I get to do one of their games before the end of the year.
Yeah, okay, I'm sure you will. I feel like there's probably at least. Well, you're not going to get to do a Lions game unless you do a 1 o'clock game because they did not get a single. They were the only team that didn't get a single primetime game this year. But you might get to do a Bears game, and the Bears game was the one that I did. Well, I did 2 actually, but the Patriots one, I was just sitting here mind blown the whole time. And then I did the Bears and the Washington game, and that game kind of sucked, but that was because, yeah, next game we got on the slate, my boys host the Jags, and I still was like a percentage nervous just because it was the AFC South, and listen, any team can lose any week, so obviously that gives me a reason to worry anytime. But a couple of highlights of that game: Kadarius Toney got his first NFL touchdown. He trolled the Giants in doing so. Also, MVS got his first Chiefs touchdown. And my other note on this, I could trust Harrison Butker to kick me a 58-yard field goal, but I cannot trust him to kick a PAT to save his life. I don't get it. He could kick a 30-yard field goal, but he can't kick freaking PAT. I think they should let Justin Reed kick our PATs.
What I said when I first saw the score, because I didn't get to watch the game, I still said that it felt like business as usual. It felt like, they went out there, they did their job, they won the game, they won it, handily. They didn't come out with any major injuries. They handled their business. They move on to the next week. They did not let it end up being a trap game.
No, and I'm happy about that, 100%. I didn't get to watch a minute of that game. I was very disappointed because at the house we got those games. We got the Vikings and Bills game, and we got the Chiefs and Jags games. But at work, I got the Lions and Dolphins and or the Lions, no, Dolphins and Browns and Steelers and Saints, and I was like, those were the two I didn't want to watch, but it's fine. I did get to watch the ending of the Vikings game, of course, because it did go into overtime, and they had coverage of that. But yeah, good win to push us to the first place, get us above Buffalo because that's important since they hold the tiebreaker. Um, that's all I got to say about it. Jags aren't a bad football team; they're just in the same place as the Lions and Bears right now. Um, growing. They'll get better. I don't know how good they'll get, but they'll get better. Christian Kirk, really good. He was, as much as we laughed about that contract he signed because they gave him way too much money. I mean, he's been producing for them. Like he's gotten more touchdowns than anybody on the team. So, at least the money was well spent. That he is scoring points for them every week.
That contract really just jacked up the wide receiver market to, I mean, it really had a domino effect on how much receivers got after that. Might be the main reason Devontae Adams left Green Bay because of how much money he might get for that.
Well, that's not true because Green Bay and Vegas offered him the same amount of money. And he just wanted to leave. That's all it was. His exact words was he was uncertain of Aaron Rodgers' future. He did not know how long he was going to be there, so that's why he went to get out.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's probably, and that is more true, but it just,
No, okay, so I stand corrected. Dave said they offered them more than Vegas did. I knew they offered him at least the same amount of money. He just chose to leave because of the uncertainty of the future of that team.
and with a car that can't start, man, Vegas is turning into something everybody's throwing some shade on right now. That's pretty fun too.
But you know what? Like we can diss on Jacksonville for screwing up the wide receiver market because in a way they still did. It didn't affect Adams and it didn't affect Hill's contracts because both of them were offered at least the same amount of money and chose to leave. So like it wasn't that. But he did shift the market, but at least the money they did give him, he is being worth it. Like he is scoring, he's showing up every week, and he's playing hard. So,
And
if they continue to lose into next season, will he play as hard? Maybe not because he got his money. We don't know. We'll see then. But he is being a valuable piece to that offense.
how rare is it that we see a guy like that go out and get a big contract that we're not sure that he deserves and then go out and earn it? You know
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
he's one of the few completely earning his big contract.
I agree.
Um, Next game we got on the slate, the Browns at the Dolphins. And listen, everybody's in here saying, the Dolphins kicked the crap out of the Browns. They did, but I don't think that score really showed, like that score just says they kicked the crap out of them. But I watched that game. It wasn't as bad as the score looked.
No, I didn't get to see any of that game. However, you know, but Cleveland doesn't play as well on the road as they do at home. Miami plays really well at home. And, just that difference right there. Like I said, Miami's kind of a juggernaut down there in South Florida right now. And Cleveland is still kind of trying to figure it out. It's really tough because you're not playing Deshaun Watson, yada, yada, yada. I think that game ended up about where it was supposed to.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think the Browns were competitive in this game.
Oh, yeah.
But the Miami run defense showed up. That was big. You stopped Nick Chubb, you stopped the Browns for the most part.
Yes.
But they fought back admirably. We knew Miami was going to win that game. They're supposed to win that game, and that's so this game just went. This is one of the few games of the week that just went the way it was supposed to.
Right.
And like that, but every single person that's talked to me about football since Sunday is like, wow, did you see the Browns get the crap kicked out of them? I was like, I don't think we watched the same game. Like the score differential, it was bad, but that game was not that bad.
No, and a lot of times people look at a score and they just assume that it was a butt whipping.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. I mean, looking at a box score and looking at an actual score, or and watching it yourself is, all different things. It looks so much different than it really was. But yeah, that just sums that up. GG's to the Dolphins. This win secured them first place for the week. But moving on to the next one, the one game I really didn't see anything about, but I can pretty much sum it up how it needs to be. The Texans at the Giants. You said this earlier about the Chiefs. They just did what they were supposed to do, took care of business, and look, they're not beating all of the best teams in the league, but they're still winning. Okay, so good teams are losing to bad teams, and they're not losing to bad teams every week. So they're taking care of business and getting it done. So that's really all that they can ask for at this point.
Yeah, I mean, handle your business when you're supposed to. You
They're not
don't let
turning the
teams
ball over very much either.
run the ball, don't turn it over, protect it. You know what? Houston's going to put up an effort. They've put up an effort in every game this year. It still ended up being maybe a one-score game, but the Giants held serve, and that's what they're supposed to
Yeah,
do.
I mean, that's
That's
all
what.
you can ask of a football team, especially a football team that is middle of the road and almost in a rebuild. Like they got a new coach figuring things out, and them shipping off Tony, who he didn't draft him. And the people that did draft him aren't there anymore. They're getting rid of some pieces. They're gonna try to build on what they have. All that you have to respect that. It's almost, I don't want to say they're in a rebuild, but it feels like they're in a rebuild, but they're doing it really, really well.
Yeah, they're in a rebuild, but they're winning.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they're doing a rebuild, but they're still playing good enough football to win. And in this league, you don't have to be great. You just have to play good enough to win. Unless you're Chicago, then you have to play better than enough to win to actually win. Because they're playing good enough to beat just about any team. They're just not winning.
Monday
Um,
night football, Monday night football, which we'll talk about, proved that if you can play defense and run the ball, you can win in the NFL.
Facts. I mean, the Giants prove that every week. And their defense is depleted on injuries. But next game we got snooze fest game. Saints at Steelers. The Steelers get a big dub at home. I don't really think this win really means anything other than to the team and the fans. But the Steelers probably aren't going to amount to much this season. They're just trying to rebuild. Not rebuild. They're trying to acclimate their young QB.
Yeah, the only thing about this game, is that I figured it would go this way, just because. And I loved Mike Tomlin's comment after the game, and it really scares the living crap out of me for this Sunday. He's like, "Hey, we got a lot of AFC North football left to play, and I'm excited to do it."
Oh,
Bums
yeah,
me
you
out.
should be worried about next week.
Oh, I always
I
am.
wasn't worried about this game. I thought the Saints had it in the bag, but I was worried about the Bengals next week. And now, with what happened to the Saints, I'm twice as worried about what's going to happen next week. I don't want to see Pittsburgh winning, man. You know that. But I also know who Mike Tomlin is. I'm well aware of what he can do.
The only thing I'll say, since we're not previewing yet, that if Cincinnati's got to change up their offensive strategy or they'll get beat.
They can't play like they do against every AFC North team, or they will get beat.
Absolutely. Let's go.
Next one. This was the dumbest game of the week. The Broncos at the Titans. The Titans get the win. The Broncos hung in there. I will say that. They hung in there. That's all I
Yeah,
got.
yeah. I mean, it's the same thing we've been saying. The home team, the better team, prevailed, handled their business, looked decent in doing so, not horrible. Yeah, Dave says Titans did win, and they
Yeah, well,
handled their
neither did
business.
the
And they move
Broncos,
on.
Dave.
Titans didn't win. It's a lie.
I mean, I think Tannehill was back. Didn't watch this game. Didn't care to. Wouldn't have even spent 2 minutes on it if I had the time to do it. Um, all I know is Jerry Jeudy is hurt. But at the same time, like 15 to other wide receivers got hurt this week, including most of Miami's. So that'll be fun for them next week.
Tannehill did play 19 of 36, 2 touchdowns, 255, QBR 83, Derrick Henry only, yeah, Derrick Henry only had 50 yards rushing in this game.
How
I
much
mean,
did the backup have?
12. No, 2. Dontrell Hilliard only had 2 yards rushing. They had less than 70 yards rushing as a team in this game. Uh, they won it by passing, and they didn't do that very
They
well.
won it by coaching. And that's what we said this game was going to be about. Coaching will win this game.
Westbrook for Tennessee, 5 receptions, 119 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 8 targets. That's a pretty solid game for any wide receiver.
Listen, that Denver defense is no joke. Their offense is like a 1 out of 10, but their defense is a 10 out of 10, and that's the only reason they're relevant right now.
Russell Wilson's QBR was 22.4.
Yeah, pretty much sums it up right there.
It looks a lot like the Bengals stats for last year from the playoffs. 6 sacks for 38 yards.
I mean, the Titans' defense pretty good. The Broncos did score some in this game, but either way, Broncos lost. So suck it, Denver. The 22.4 out of 3. So he was elite, according to Dave. Next game, Jeff Saturday turned into Jeff Sunday. Got his first win as a head coach in Vegas against the Raiders. The only place that the Raiders have seemed to have been able to win this year, and they did not. Derek Carr was like pretty much in tears at the end of the day in his post game. Didn't get to watch this one. I know Nathan did. Jonathan Taylor had a 60-yard touchdown. That's good for him. He needs that. Are you there? No. Uh-oh. We lost him. Whoopsie. I did not connect back to the internet. I'm still on my phone. Cooper Kupp having ankle surgery on Wednesday. Yeah, that's going to be we're about to that Rams game, but yeah, that's going to be huge. Chance, we suck. Pop the champagne, baby. Dancing our way to a number 1 pick. Yeah, the Raiders, I don't know if anything went right for them in this game. And he's back on the phone. What's up, Mickey? I thought he was just looking at something on his computer, and then I was like, "Are you there?" And I heard him from downstairs yell, "No!"
Hey, yeah, it's gone out again.
Go Chiefs!
Am I flipping? No.
You're not flipping because you probably have your screen locked.
Yeah. That's unusual. Okay, not going to worry about it.
Papa staring into my soul. Yeah, so, GG's to Jeff Saturday and whatever the guy's name was that called plays for him. I don't even remember. Frank, maybe? No, that's not right. I can't remember who's calling plays, but Matty Ice returns from the bench. I felt like that was going to come as soon as Frank Reich was gone.
Yeah.
There's no reason to sit him. I mean, I know he was hurt that first game, but there was no reason to bench your veteran QB. He did have a lot of turnovers, but he also had a lot of yards and moved the football a lot. He was getting things done, but whatever they did worked. Jonathan Taylor came back and looks a little bit better. And the Raiders, well, I don't know. How the F do you go from a playoff berth to losing to a Jeff Saturday?
Hey, there's a lot going on, and at some point we might have to sit down and discuss a little bit of it, because the post-game interviews from Devontae Adams and Derek Carr were both very telling that there's seems to be a lot of different stuff going on there. And, Derek Carr's crying. Devontae Adams is saying that not everybody's on the same page, and I don't know what that means exactly. It's kind of cryptic, but that team's full of talent, and we thought that they would be at least a 500 team, probably better. And to see how far they've slipped at this point, it's very concerning to what the future may hold. But they did say today on one of the shows that McDaniels will be back regardless because ownership's pretty happy with him. So, but they also said that about Frank Reich about 3 weeks ago. So that's
I
hard to say
just
as
don't
well.
know how you can be happy with him. What's he
I,
doing right?
I have no idea.
Look, I know people want to blame Derek Carr. I know people want to blame, I don't know, anybody else, but why not blame him? He's your head coach. He's running that team, and they're losing. Ownership doesn't want to admit they made a mistake. That's what I'm saying. And Nathan says Mark Davis is a very patient guy. Yeah, that's fine, but they were in the playoffs last year. And
Yeah, and Rich Bisaccia was brought up today as well. You have a guy that saved your locker room last year, leads you to the playoffs. As you're from being your special teams coach, and you don't even put him on your staff or give him a promotion, put him in the front office. There's something wrong with that as well.
they shouldn't have let him go, period. I don't care what job he had next year. I don't think they should have let him go.
No, he definitely had that locker room. He would have been, and what do they do with a lot of those guys? The former head coach of the Chargers is an associate head coach in San Francisco, I think. They give him roles like that, like the special teams coach for Cincinnati, and so he wouldn't leave. They promoted him to associate head coach. That's a way that you can maintain, give them guys an opportunity to learn get themselves back out there for a head coaching job, but not lose their presence on the field and in the locker room.
I'm saying I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Also, Crafty said they'll scapegoat everyone else until there's no one left. It looks like they're going down the line right now because the only big difference in this team from last year is they got Devontae Adams and they switched Rich Bisaccia for Josh McDaniels. Are you going to blame Devontae Adams for them losing?
Can't.
You can't. There's no way to. Unless he throws him every single pass and he never catches one of them, then you can blame it on him. But at that point, you can't blame it on him. You're blaming it on Derek Carr for throwing it to him every single play. You have to go past the guys on the field at some point. I don't like it. I don't know why. They're like, okay, good job, Josh. You're doing a great job. Like, is another one of Belichick's under guys in there telling him he's doing a good job, like sitting down next to him? Like, is Bill Belichick telling him he's doing good? Like, what I mean, he's not. I've seen them. They've won what 2 games this year, and that's the only 2 times they've looked really, really good. I mean, they looked pretty good against the Chiefs, and they looked, good at one other loss. But like, I can't blame the team. I have to blame the coach until that coach is not there and another coach comes in and does the exact same thing. Like, that's the only way we'll know if someone else does the same thing with this same team.
Yes, ma'am.
Next game we got on the list, Mike McCarthy returns to Lambeau and helps the Packers get a W.
Great game.
Dude, that was a great game.
The first time I picked against Green Bay and probably all season, and I lost. So I think I'm over on Green Bay this year.
Like I said, I didn't pick them in our chat, but I did pick them on our CBS poll. And I was confident when I did that. I did those 2 things at the exact same time, and I stood right here and said, all my picks on here are the exact same as CBS except for one, and it was the Packers game. And I took the Packers, and that game went into overtime. All the Cowboys had to do was go in, take care of business, and leave. They were capable of doing that, but McCarthy waited 4 years for that game just to blow it. But they ran the ball. They gave the ball to Aaron Jones. They gave the ball to A.J. Dillon. Christian Watson, 3 touchdowns on the day. They've got guys coming off the IR, I believe either Randall Cobb or Alan Lazard. Or it was Randall Cobb's off the IR. So, they're getting guys back. They signed a wide receiver to their practice squad. They're making moves. And I did the math for whatever reason, because the NFC's so bad, if the Packers won out every game this year, they could still make the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. Every overtime game this week, I lost on CBS and in here. Every one of them, I lost in overtime. So I don't feel so bad about my picks being halfway mediocre. I felt like a lot of those games were really coin flip games when it really comes down to it. Christian Watson, the one thing I noticed about him was how fast he actually is on a crossing route. He looks a lot like Cooper Kupp.
Bro, during that game, Watson already had 2 touchdowns, and I went into Grassi's chat and sent him a super chat, and I was like, yo, much love, go Pack go. Also, Christian Watson's a stud, and 30 seconds later, he got his 3rd touchdown. I went back in there, and I sent him another super chat, and I was like, I freaking told you he's a stud.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I mean, in week 1, there was the rumors that he didn't want him on the team anymore. So, I mean, what you got to give a rookie time. That's it.
Also, I'm going to move backwards for just a second. Jeff said, is he a Belichick guy? I'm like 3 minutes behind on chat. Ignore me working. No worries. Thanks for being in here, Jeff. But yeah, we were talking about Raiders head coach Josh McDaniels, who is, yes, a Belichick guy. He has failed at coaching like 2 other times and then ran back to the Patriots and worked at a lower position. And the Raiders are cheering him on. The Raiders front office is cheering him on so far. But yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that comment real quick. But Dave said Aaron Rodgers is the owner of the Bears and minority owner of the Cowboys. Crafty said Pax D played a great first half too. Yeah, they played a really good first half. And honestly, they played a really good game. Their D is a little bit more slim due to injury, but I feel like they played together pretty well. And I think that has a lot to do with their offense staying on the field longer and letting them rest, so they were not playing all 4 quarters the whole game. And so that tends to happen, but definitely an impressive win. Packers are going to win out the season. I think it's definitely possible.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got a guy like Aaron Rodgers that if he gets hot, he can single-handedly destroy defenses. I mean, I've seen him do it when I thought
Christian Watson's proving that he can single-handedly destroy defenses because they went right past Micah Parsons all game long.
Yes.
That's not an easy guy to just go right past.
Absolutely. Fun game. I had a blast with everybody in here.
Let's see. Packers D is super finesse. Not a great record for Belichick's assistants trend. Oh, yeah. I mean, unless you are Bill Belichick, you cannot emulate Bill Belichick. I really believe that.
And somebody in the chat will know because I'm not 100% positive, but isn't Mike Vrabel a Belichick descendant?
I feel like you're right about that.
I mean, he seems.
Didn't Vrabel play for Belichick? Not a descendant, but played for him.
I know he played for him.
Yeah, so I think maybe that's where they're tied. I don't think he coached under him. I think he just played for him, and that's different. Parsons is a scary man. That's what I'm saying. It's not easy to finesse that guy. But they did it in good fashion. Between Aaron Jones and Christian Watson, they lit him up. And that's what you got to do to win games. Yeah, everybody's saying Vrabel played for the Pats.
For some reason, I thought he got his coaching start there as well, but I'm probably wrong. That's why I asked.
Nathan said he might have been a linebackers coach, but Dave said, isn't he a different coaching tree, though?
And that's possible, too. For some reason, I thought he was a Belichick descendant, and I figured that somebody in here, a la probably Nathan, would figure it out the first. I can't use my internet because it's gone, so.
But a great win for the Pack. This is probably an okay loss for the Cowboys in terms of standings because they didn't move down very much. They would have been in second place, but now they're in third place, but I think they're tied in third place with their division, with the second place with the Giants. Next game, the battle of the backup quarterbacks, the Arizona Cardinals and Colt McCoy with Colt McCoy and Trace McSorley because they both played. I think Colt had gotten hurt early in the game. Visit the Rams playing with, I believe his name is John Wolford. I know his last name is Wolford. I can never remember. But ugly, ugly game. Cooper Kupp hurt. He's gonna have surgery tomorrow on his ankle. So the Rams, we already knew they were done, but without Cooper Kupp, they're really, really done. Um,
I
Cardinals get a win here. One of those teams had to win. Colt McCoy looks better than Kyler Murray sometimes.
Absolutely, and Colt McCoy played. I went back and watched a little bit. He played a pretty good game. The other thing about that is that with the Cooper Kupp injury, with the Rams reeling right now, no running game, no protection for the quarterback, you might see them shut Stafford down for the rest of the year if they want to protect their investment for if they're going to keep him for a couple of years.
I agree. I think they lost more offensive linemen. I think they lost two. And I believe they lost someone on defense as well, along with
Urban
Cooper Kupp.
Meyer. Thank you, Dave.
Kyler fell asleep on the plane playing Call of Duty. Probably, man. Yeah, I mean, good win for the Cardinals, I guess. It's a win. I feel like both of these teams' seasons are fairly close to being considered over. The Rams definitely. But Kyler and the Cardinals, I don't. I don't. They've got to be like the most hated team right now, right?
They're almost as big a head scratcher as the Raiders to me because I feel like there's enough talent there to win. Maybe it's coaching. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just Kyler. I'm not positive, but I leave Colt McCoy in for a few more games. Let's see what he can do.
I like that team a lot better with Colt McCoy right now. AJ Green had a touchdown in this game.
Sweet catch.
Sweet catch, yeah. But yeah, it was a dud 4 o'clock game.
For
I got
sure.
friends in St. Louis dancing on the Rams grave, and that's Dave right now in the chat. He's one of those people. St. Louis has every reason to hate the Rams, and so I don't blame them if they do. I think so too, Nathan. He said it's both Cliff and Kyler. I believe that.
I mean, that is a college style offense that they brought out there, and Kyler Murray's not the right quarterback for that air raid offense, honestly.
No. Plus they don't really have a solid run game outside of Kyler anyway, and that they are a team just like the Ravens, just like the Eagles that are very, if they don't have a run game, they will continue to struggle. But last game on the Sunday slate, Sunday Night Football, we had the Chargers at the Niners. The Niners just, well, listen, their roster's great. They're a good football team, but I think they just find ways to win. Like, I don't even think they have it all put together, but at the end of the day, they find a way to win. And the Chargers could have won this game, and they just didn't because the Niners find a way to win.
Yeah, I think the Niners, they're have talent all over the place. They've got people that are stepping up. They're poised to make a run towards the end of the season at Seattle for the West. Those two teams are going to rise to be the cream in that area. I still think San Francisco might make it to the NFC Championship or even the Super Bowl if they continue to grow. Christian McCaffrey was a great ad. They're a tough out in the playoffs.
I mean, the Chargers made their defense look silly in the first half. They really did. And who did the Chargers have? Nobody. They're one of the most depleted teams in the NFL right now.
And they're still got a winning record.
Do they? Are they 500?
They're 5-4.
No. I can't keep up with them because all their games come down to the wire.
Yeah.
And you don't know if they win or lose, but I did know they lost this week because the entire AFC West and Buffalo, other than the Chiefs, lost this week. So I had a great week. But um, yeah, the Niners will find ways to win, and the Chargers will find ways to make their fans panic all game long. Niners just put their head down and go to work. Not the best team, not the most interesting team, but everyone shows up and follows the script. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I think they have a top quality, like in terms of the players they have. Like they've got a good roster, but they don't have a great game plan, like in terms of getting ahead and putting teams away. The thing I said about this game is they played like they were winning all game long. Run the ball down their throat, grind the clock, even though they were not winning until the second half. They stayed true to the same plan and just was basically hoping it paid off. And they finally got the lead. And then they continued to play like the exact same they did the rest of the game. Like they were playing like they had a 20-point lead all game long, even when they were down like a score and a half. And I mean, I kind of got some respect for that. It's like they knew they were going to come back. Knew that eventually they were going to get stops. So they didn't want to waste time and not run the clock out while they did it. Like it was the weirdest game watching a team that was down like 10-0 or 10-3, something like that, and play like they were blowing this team out.
Agreed.
I've never seen anyone burn clock in the first quarter. Like that's what I'm saying. They were burning the clock all game long. They ran every play like, okay, we just need to hold the lead and get through the rest of the game. From the second their offense stepped on the like, is that a good coaching system? Does that work? Like I feel like that doesn't work for everybody. But it's been working for them all season long, except the games they lose.
Yeah, I mean, controlling the clock, time of possession is big. I mean, for some teams, they need it.
I mean, GG's to them. I mean, props to them because it ended up working. They ended up getting enough stops to actually take the lead and then hold on to it. Like Jeff said, it's not the most exciting football, but it is the most interesting because I'm just like, I remember sitting in here with the chat and I'm like, I feel like they think they're winning by 40 points right now, but it panned out, so that's all you can say is good job. Like it worked. We won. And we had the ball all game and you didn't.
For sure.
Last game on our slate, Monday Night Football. Another really good game. Listen, I know what everyone's going to say. There were bad calls in this game, but I'm going to say this. And the Washington upsets the undefeated Eagles. They were bad calls, but the way that Philly's offense was playing, I don't think it would have mattered.
4 turnovers.
Yeah, one of the bad missed calls was a turnover that shouldn't have been because of face mask. But either way, Washington's defense played well enough that I still think they would have won.
Yeah.
Even if like that face mask had been called, which it should have, and that turnover shouldn't have existed, I still think they would have won because their offense was doing just enough and their defense was continuously shutting them down.
So let's just look at what happened, and then you can use speculation on some of the other. After the first quarter, the Eagles only scored 7 points the rest of the game, period. Now, that fumble by
Goddard.
No, the other one.
Smith?
16, number 16.
Watkins?
Yeah, Quez Watkins on that long play where he wasn't down by contact, he and then got up and ran. That one probably was a backbreaker. That they were driving the ball again. Philadelphia was going to make a run at it. There's no guarantee that they score touchdowns on either of those possessions. Washington's defense, Montez Sweat played a great game. They get Chase Young back next week. Their defense is looking right. They go into Philly and play like that. Buying in, and then the other thing I just saw a minute ago on the screen looking to my left is if Carson Wentz is ready to play next week, there's no guarantee he's gonna play. With Heineke going 3-1 as a
winning and
starter.
Vince losing.
I mean, so I don't expect we'll see Wentz in a while, a la, this sounds like every year in his career, doesn't it? So Wentz is probably done, and Rivera's just being nonchalant about it at this point. Washington played good. They're back. Are they back to 500 now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they 4-5?
I
They're
feel like
close.
they're like 5-5. They haven't had a bye yet.
But
I think
anyway,
they're 5-5.
I thought I wasn't sure if they were 4-5. Yeah, they're 5. Okay, they're 5-5. That's cool. I wasn't sure. I knew they were 4-5 at some point yesterday because I saw it. But anyway, Wentz is a bum. Leave Taylor Heineke in there. Let him run this team because
I love that dude, man.
Everybody's behind him. So I was really excited. I do not like this Washington team because of Wentz. But
that's the only reason I don't like them, because I've been saying it for years. They're like my little brother NFC team that I always have wanted to see do well since Alex Smith stepped foot there. And
yeah,
so I've always been rooting for him, even after he's retired. And then they signed Carson Wentz, and my heart sunk.
Yeah, that was horrible. But anyway, long story short, super excited for them. I'm glad they got the win. They beat a team that played an off game a little bit, but they still shut them down for 3 quarters. The time of possession in that game, Alex, was 40-19.
Yeah, I mean, at halftime it was like before halftime it was like 20-5.
Smash mouth football. They ran the ball right down their throat. Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson was a great 1-2 punch, was getting 3-4 yards a carry. They burnt clock. The only time they got into trouble was when Heineke got a little too cute and tried to throw the deep ball into double coverage. But other than that, he played a perfect game.
All right, this is the one. I have to say it. I said it in the chat a million times yesterday, but people seem to still be upset last night, and they wouldn't listen to me. Philadelphia losing this game was not a bad thing.
Yes.
Like, all you Philly fans, this was not a bad loss. This needed to happen. Whether it been Washington or it been another divisional game or another game, it didn't matter. They needed at least it's called being humbled, because they need to get smacked in the mouth, because they're going to get too, they're going to let their guard down because they just keep winning. And it's going to end up them going on a losing streak or get, that first team that shuts them down. Now, if they can turn around and respond to this, then they're a great football team. They're a good football team now. But if they can't respond to this, they will never achieve being that next level. They needed at least one time being humbled. They were not going to go undefeated, and if they did, they were going to be very disappointing in the playoffs, because that's just what happens.
Yep, I agree.
So I will tell it to any and every single Philly fan that comes, with steam coming out of their head, like, you need to calm down, because every undefeated team, the Chiefs were like 8-0 last year, and I was excited, or the year before, and I think it was, whatever. And then they lost the game, and I wanted to be so upset about it, but it needs to happen. Like, you don't want to go and win 15 games straight and not have any losses, because you could fall apart at the end of the season because you just let your guard down. Like, this was a good loss for Philly.
And a good time to lose it too,
for
honestly.
Washington. I think this was a bigger win for Washington than it was a loss for Philly, but this was a much needed. It was gonna happen. It just depended on when. And Washington came prepared for this game. Look, Ron Rivera proved that he can still be a good head coach, even though he may be on the hot seat, which is getting overshadowed by the Dan Snyder drama right now. He is still a good coach, and he can do things with this team. Look, this team looks like they did last year, going into the playoffs, or the year before with Taylor Heineke getting his first career start. It felt the same in this game. They're not the best team, but they're also not the healthiest team either. I mean, we say that about a lot of teams. They're coming together at the right time. Like, this is a perfect time for them to make a move in the NFC, because the NFC is significantly weaker than the AFC.
Or at least or so it seems. Right on. But that was
Jeff said Philly loses at the right time, lose one more, maybe Green Bay or Dallas, then roll in on a streak going into the playoffs. See, that's what I'm saying. Look, you lose a couple, that's fine. Look, most years you don't have a 16-1 or 15-1 before we have the extra game. You don't have a lot of those. They usually have at least 2 losses, and that's perfectly okay. Look, I don't like when my team loses either, but at the end of the day, losses need to happen.
Absolutely.
Kylie said the Eagles did good last night. We just need better defense. I think the only place to improve your defense, honestly, maybe, if anything, is the run defense. But it was a divisional game, and those would never go according to plan. Ever. Even if you're playing the best football of your life, some weird's going to keep happening. Philly's going to be beaten by the Packers when Christian Watson scores 5 touchdowns. Well, I don't know anything. I don't know the right and wrong of the NFL anymore. So, if the Green Bay is going to prove me wrong and Christian Watson scores 5 touchdowns, then just let him. He deserves it. That kid's a stud, man.
So I gotta get, when we get off here in a few, I gotta make the appointment to have the technician out, because obviously it's not on the modem's end. It's something in on our signal. So need to make that appointment here shortly. What do we got? Anything else for today?
Jeff says Eagles just don't drop 4 in a row. They got a comfy lead, drop 2 more games, and still walk into the playoffs. I agree 100%. Maybe I think it's definitely possible for them to lose their next couple games. I think they have to go into Dallas and Green Bay as well. If Green Bay plays like they did against Dallas, they can beat Philly, and if Dallas plays better than they played at Green Bay, then they can beat the Cowboys. But it is possible for them to go 1-1 or 0-2. In that stretch, but I don't think they'll lose out the rest of the season. I think they have a very high % chance to win their division, even with the Cowboys and Giants playing well. Then the Giants will be the top seed for the lulz. Dude, I will lose it. I will lose it if the Giants. And the funniest part about that is because I put money on the Giants being the team to finish with the worst record in the NFL this year. I put actual money on that, and now they're fighting for the win their division right now, and I'm like, I feel cursed. I reversed cursed the Giants.
Good job. You gave New York you gave New York hope this year.
Listen, that was not the New York I wanted to give hope. It was supposed to be the Jets. I mean, but
they're
the Jets
doing
are there
okay
too,
too.
so nothing makes sense.
Hey, it's all good.
Dude, I love it. All the teams I picked to be in the bottom 3 are high up in their divisions. Seahawks win in their division. The Falcons, a game behind. And the Jets are in second place in their division. Or not the Jets. The Giants are in second place of their division. And I picked them to literally have the worst record. I lost both of my Survivor Leagues in week 1 because of the same thing. I took the Titans. Dude, I remember when you told me that. I just couldn't. I can't believe that happened, man. Giants show up in the playoffs looking as surprised as anyone, didn't even pack their pads or helmets. Okay, I got a real question. Also, Mickey said, how about those Chiefs? Let's go. But I got a real question. What do you think the real possibility of OBJ signing with the Giants is?
I got to think that he's going to go wherever he feels he has the best chance to win. And right now, that's probably got to be a possibility.
I mean, like the Kansas City's going around, and I firmly believe that the only reason the Chiefs sign OBJ is so Buffalo doesn't. Like, I have to believe that. But all the people that he had issues with in that organization are not there anymore. So that opens up a door. They're a winning football team. It might not be pretty. It might not make sense. And all the teammates are supportive of him coming back. If anything, he could just be a decoy on the field. And
you got to think.
I think he's okay with that. He just had 2 different ACL tears. Like, he's not looking to have his prime year this season. He knows that.
Yeah, that he's right at that point where he's rehabbing. He's eligible. I mean, he's practicing now. I know that they said he would be ready by the 11th. So he's just probably working out a deal. I bet you we wait about 2 weeks. I bet you somewhere around Thanksgiving we see him sign somewhere for the rest of the season. And I think he's going to wait. I think he's going to be patient, and he's going to go to the best opportunity he has to win a Super Bowl. And I'll be interested to see who he picks.
Jeff, I think we have like 1 to 2 million in cap space. Like we had like almost 4, but Tony took some of that. So it's between 1 and 2, I think. Yeah, they got Hines and a safety. They don't need OBJ. I'm just saying, I think the only reason Kansas City signs OBJ is just so Buffalo doesn't. Like, I don't see any reason for them to do so.
I mean, that would be the spot that I would assume that he would pick. And there's been smoke, brewing around him going to KC all year. Kelsey
I mean, he's got
podcast.
6 teams, I think. It was Dallas, Buffalo. There was mention of the Rams, but I doubt he goes there now. The Giants, KC, and one other. But the Rams, you can scratch that off. There's no way he's going to go there now. They're turning over. They're a turtle on their back, dude. Like, they're done. They're more done than, like, they're the first team that I ruled done. And that excludes the Texans because they knew they were done before the season started.
For sure.
Got to believe Bills got space. I'm sure the Bills do have space. But they got Naeem Hines, a running back that they'll never use because they don't use running backs, and then they got another safety due to the injury in their secondary, like a couple different injuries. Dallas Packers. Oh yeah, the Packers were one of them. Buffalo, Rams, Niners, Giants, and Pats. You didn't mention KC on that, so there was a lot more teams than I thought. But I thought he had narrowed it down to 6. I think we did better with Tony over getting OBJ. Oh, yeah. Tony's a long-term investment, too. He's not just a year, 2, 3 at the most if you signed a OBJ, because he wants a contract to finish his career. Like, that's what he wants, a short couple-year contract. What's up, Shebley? But, I think Tony over OBJ by a mile. Tony can be used. He can do wildcat. He can throw. He can do kick returns, which, we need that. Pacheco's done a great job, but he's moving into RB1 role. So they're going to try to pull him from that eventually. And plus, he can catch any pass that Mahomes throws at him because he is obsessed with Patrick Mahomes. The memes are everywhere, and I absolutely love that.
Yeah, can I throw a little shade in the chat right now?
Throw all the shade.
Go Sparty.
Wait,
Michigan State's about ready to finish Kentucky off.
Oh.
Go Sparty.
So when's your next IU game?
Friday at 6.
Friday at 6. Well, Friday's a perfect day because that's the one day we don't ever have anything going on. So I feel like they had a big break between them.
Yeah, about 7 days, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a long time since you did one.
Was it last Thursday? Yeah. It was last Thursday. 8 days.
8 days. Refs took it.
I don't know. Kentucky. All them alley-oops look. I mean, I can't really watch, but all them alley-oops look like Kentucky didn't play very good defense, period.
I haven't seen a minute of them this season.
I like that. I like
Bean. Hi, Papa Bean.
What's up, Haley?
Shelby said, let me know when your team plays a school with a name.
Yeah, I got it.
They just beat Morehead State. They were in the March Madness tournament last year or the year before. That counts, right? They were in the tournament. That means they have a name.
Yeah, it's all good. That's just Shelby firing back, being a little defensive.
Shelby's feisty, man. Especially when it comes to her Wildcats, dude.
Yeah. It looks like they played a really good game and probably should have won. So, and Sparty's supposed to be down this year. Kentucky's ranked 4th in the country. Sparty wasn't even a top 25 team. So Sparty's also lost to Gonzaga already.
I think we play 5 top 10 teams. 5 top 10 teams, and we suck. I bet you'll win at least 2 of them. Nope. Papa is exiting. She said, let me know when your team plays a school with the name. You know what? I want to see another IU game. Like, the first 2 have been complete and total blowouts. But I want to see another game like we watched last year against Syracuse. That was one of the greatest games I watched all season. I know IU didn't end up winning that game, but they went into like the 3rd overtime against a team they probably weren't supposed to beat on the road.
It's hard to win. They don't have much luck against the zone defense, especially last year.
I mean, like, seriously, like, that game was incredible. The 2 different buzzer beaters to send it into 2 different overtimes. Like, that game was everything you could ask for in a basketball game. And it wasn't that they weren't playing defense. Both teams played well. I mean, IU got the crap kicked out of them in the first half, and they came back from being down like 30 and then sent it into triple overtime. Like, that was incredible.
Yeah, and really fast, Shelby. I can get you guys right now because you're the 2nd favorite team to win the NCAA tournament this year. So anytime I get a chance to kick at them kiddies, I'm going to kick them.
Don't kick my kitty.
Oh, I want to kick him. He's dragging something around like a bowl or something right now.
He's a good boy.
He's fired up.
Yeah, it's because you're yelling about other cats. He doesn't like cats.
Thank you, Mickey. Sorry for the internet issues. I've got to call and I got to make sure we get this fixed since now that they say that there's an actual problem on our line.
I heard that lady say she worked her magic and fixed it. I heard her say it. It was her words, and you said, I love magic. That sounds great.
But she did say at the end, if that doesn't take care of your problem, then we'll have to send a technician out.
Well, hopefully that gets resolved very soon. Y'all got any dogs? I got 2 dogs, and both of them weigh like 60 to 80 pounds more than I do each.
Yeah, they're hosses.
And you got a little miniature barrel.
And I got a barrel.
Have a good one, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Yep, I got 2 English Mastiffs. One weighs 165 and one weighs 180. And they are very, very big girls. They were mad because I let them out to play today and it was raining and I didn't hear the rain. So they were out there for a while because I was working on some stuff. And I was like, I went out to check on them and I was like, I'm so sorry. Oh, yeah, in our Discord, which I'm going to promote it every time we are live, which the link's in the description. And on the community tab, I just posted another link as well. But there is a tab that you can go see all of the babies, all the pets we own, and everybody else in the community's pets. So you can go in there and share yours. My sister's put a lot of pictures of her cats in there, and her cats are really cute. But
go Sadie.
Go Sadie, yes. But we're gonna wrap this thing up tonight. I do have to work in the morning. You feed them steak. How they get that big? Well, their breed is naturally large. Luckily, we got females because the size that my darker dog is, she would probably be like 225 right now. At the breed, whatever breed mix, like I think she got a strain of the giant gene, so she would be massive. But the light colored one we have, I met the dog that is her father, and that dog sitting on the ground was as tall as I am and looking me in the eyes, and he was as wide as a car, dude. I've never seen a dog that was that big in my life. They were like, do you want to meet the dad? We keep him in the back. And I was like, yeah. And then she was like, we only bring him out if my husband's home. And I was like, okay, like, I don't care. And that dog came around the corner and I was like, that ain't no dog. Like, that's Clifford, dude. But I just feed them a large breed dog food. They're growing and big. Your net is up. Name your dog Gronk since he's big. Nah, dude, my dog's bigger than Gronk. But anyway, like I said, I'm gonna wrap this thing up. Gronk is not a dog's name. We will be back tomorrow to make our week 11 picks. This season is flying by.
I can't
Hopefully,
believe how fast it's going.
I hate it. I hate that it's going by so fast. I wish it would slow down a little bit, but it just keeps going and don't stop. But
Thank you, Jeff.
thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that, and I appreciate everybody that hung through us due to the internet delay. Very unexpected to shut us down, but you know we always accept a challenge and find a way to work through it. But we will be back in here tomorrow night around the same time, most likely, to do our week 11 picks. And until then, I hope you all have a great rest of your night and a fantastic day tomorrow. Much love and see you then.